Hello everyone and welcome to the video, and today we're going to be talking about the unkillable lightning god build. This is a build that I made and I believe that it is pretty incredible. I've been using it for a lot of PvE content and it does extremely well. Now, a couple of the clips I show in here, it was when I was a little bit under leveled and the build was not completed. For me, the build is also still not completed. The only things I would change about it would be the poise. I would get better armor, and I'd be at a little bit higher of a level with a little bit more endurance. So right here, we're going to take a look at the build. So up first, the main weapon of the build is the Gargoyle's Keen Twin Blade. So this is basically just the Gargoyle's Twin Blade, and I put on the Ash of War to make it scale with dexterity. I prefer dexterity over strength. It's honestly personal preference. I think this weapon scales better with strength naturally, so it really doesn't matter if you're a strength build or a dexterity build. This is going to work for you as well. But mostly this is a faith build. As you can see here, we have this talisman. This talisman boosts Dragon Cult incantations, which is basically all of the lightning damage. And for the armor set, we have the Crucible Tree armor. And this is the only part of the build that I would actually change, just because, like I said, it doesn't give enough poise. In this game, you need to have incredibly high poise to be able to withstand a lot of attacks. And up next, we have the talismans. The first talisman is the Dragon Crest Great Shield. This one gives you a bunch of extra physical damage negation. And then we have the Lightning Scorpion. This gives you extra lightning damage, which really helps for the lightning spells. And then we have the Faithful's Canvas Talisman. This increases the potency. And then the last one is the Great Jar's Arsenal, which allows us to wear this heavy armor. So that pretty much sums up the gear of the actual build, and I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but here's the consumables. One of them is the Wondrous Physic Flask, and this one I have one that increases your poise, and then the other one increases charged attacks, which are going to be the main damage in our two-handed Twin Blade, and then the other one is the Exalted Flesh, which temporarily boosts physical attack. So all of this together boosts your charged R2 incredibly. As you can see here by this clip I'm going to show you, it does a little bit over 2,000 damage just by one R2 attack, and the charge does take a little bit of time to get off, and that's why I recommend having high poise, and that's one of the only things I would change about the build. I have a clip towards the end of me actually killing the Godskin Duo. It's a very difficult boss in this game. It is a late game boss, so if you guys don't want to see spoilers, just turn it off whenever you see me going into that boss fight. However, in that boss fight, I am able to kill them. Not only am I under leveled in that fight, I don't have full Crucible Tree armor set on, and my physical damage talisman was actually taken off because I forgot to change it out, and I actually had the gold scarab one on, so I was really, it wasn't ideal, but I still managed to kill them. Obviously, it was a little bit difficult since, like I said, I was under leveled at that point. I think I was under level 100 at that point, and I was still doing a lot of damage. So I'm going to show you the current stats that I'm at right now, and like I said, it's not even finished yet. I want to get to level 150. I'm currently level 156, so the only thing I would change is I would get dexterity up 1 point to make it 40, and then I would get my endurance up for the remaining points, and that would increase my equipment load a lot, and hopefully allow me to wear something a little bit more heavy that has a lot more poise, like the bull armor, or I think it's called the bull goat armor, or something like that. It really doesn't matter. You just want to have over 75 poise, because once you have that, you will be able to withstand and out-trade a lot of bosses. So one thing you could also do is you could trade out one of the talismans, and if I were you, the only one that I would possibly trade out would be the lightning damage one. And even that one's kind of essential, so maybe just take out the physical damage negation one, and if you do that, you could swap them out. There is a talisman in the game that increases poise by 20, I think, and if you throw that on in addition to heavier armor, you can probably get up to and maybe even over 100 poise, and once you get to that point, you'll pretty much be unstoppable. So that's one of the main points of this build, is not only to deal as much damage as possible, but to also be an absolute tank and not really take as much damage. And that's something that I don't really see in a lot of builds. A lot of mage builds and caster builds are very squishy, and they kind of just get thrown around and one hit, and that's something that happens a lot in this game, and it's something that I really wanted to avoid. So with this completely unfinished build, I was taking so much damage and just surviving through all of it. It was incredibly easy as well. I was able to pretty much do whatever I wanted to and kill whatever boss I wanted to at this point that I'm at right now. As you can see here by some of these clips, I'm absolutely decimating bosses. It's incredibly easy. They do like no damage to me, whereas with a normal caster build, one of these hits might take out half of your health bar, and to me it's taking out maybe 20%. And this build is also semi-viable as well for PvP. I'll have a couple clips on screen as well. It's a little bit harder to use for PvP, and you kind of want to use your L2 as much as possible because it's rare that you get the full-on charged up R2 off, because obviously people will just dodge it. But overall, as you could see in some of these clips, I'm just spinning in large groups of enemies and taking out as many enemies as I can at once. And that's another thing that this build is great at, is just absolutely decimating many enemies at once. If you get surrounded, this build is incredible. Now I'm going to mention a couple downsides of the build and exactly what you should watch out for and be careful of, because even though this is an excellent build, this is still a Souls-like game, and if you get caught in certain positions, you're going to get destroyed. So one of the main things is don't cast your abilities when you're right in the line of sight of somebody or right in front of them. Like I said, they have a very long cast time, and the only one you're really going to be able to get away with casting would be like lightning bolts, which does a fair amount of damage. But for the longer windups and the ones where you lift up in the air, if you get hit once and you don't have high enough poise, you are going to actually get staggered out of the ability and you are going to drop to the ground. So you really want to avoid that, and that's one of the main reasons why I want heavier armor on this, and that's the only reason this build isn't fully completed yet. But overall, you just want to make sure that there is enough space between you and the enemy before you try casting it, as you can see right here in this clip that I'm going to put on the screen. But overall, if you're looking for an amazing build that does incredible damage and has really high sustainability, this is going to be the perfect build for you, and the red lightning looks amazing. So that also makes it a really cool build to use as well. So I'm just going to play out the last clip of me killing the Godskin duo, just to show you guys how much damage you can actually do. And once again, keep in mind that, like I said before, I was under level 100 for this boss, which I think they recommend you be like 120 plus for this boss. So I was incredibly under leveled. I didn't even have the right gear on, and I had the wrong talisman on. I had a talisman that literally didn't help me at all. As compared to having the massive increase to my physical damage negation, this boss fight would have gone a lot different if I had been a higher level and had the current build that I have now. But that's pretty much it for today's video. Make sure to drop a like and sub to the channel. I'm going to be making a lot more build guides in the future, but that's pretty much it for today's video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.